Welcome to Navigating the Abyss. We are Terry and Catherine, two necessarily trauma-informed moms who, through our own journeys, were inspired to become conscious parenting coaches. We are here to share our ongoing learning and insights in the hope of bringing some new perspectives and clarity for parents who might be on similar paths. We hope you'll join us.
So, hello everybody. In this episode today, Catherine very courageously is sharing with me some recent difficult struggles with her own daughter's substance misuse. This includes how she's been dealing with her own sometimes overpowering fear and overwhelming emotions at times, and how she's been practicing both firm boundaries, deep detachment, as well as learning how to see her daughter's possibility all from within the eye of the storm. And we really hope you'll join us. We do our best to hold these topics sensitively. Thank you for listening. Hey, Catherine, there's plenty that I know that you want to share today. So you've shared quite a lot with me already about what you've been going through in recent days and weeks with your daughter's mental health situation. I know we've talked a lot about substance misuse. We've talked a lot about recent events that have been really challenging. And I'm going to open up the floor to you to share a little bit, as much as you feel comfortable with, about recent events, as I know it's very heavy on your heart. So let me hand over to you and just share as much or as little as you need to.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. And thanks for making the space for me to share. And it's really helpful. So, as I mentioned in my first podcast, my daughter struggled a lot over multiple years with substance misuse, which is very tied, as is in most cases, with her mental health, her anxiety, depression, etc. And we didn't realize, but she'd been using, I think, some harder drugs over the last couple months, and it wasn't really clear because she was functioning and she did well in her classes and was pretty good at minimizing the chaos at home.
Yeah.
And about a week and a half ago, she overdosed, and her father was there, thank God. And we had Narcan in the house, which is a critical antidote for opiate overdose.
Right.
And he was able to administer that, and she was taken to the hospital, and so she was fine. So we've been dealing a lot now with coming to terms with what that means, and also the epidemic of fentanyl on the streets and what that's meaning for our young people and how at risk they are, and often how they, being young.
I think your message to me was, this is a whole new ball game now, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of gone up a level for you guys and understanding.
Yeah.
Quite how serious this was becoming.
Yeah, exactly. And so she came out, she was hospitalized for a number of days, and because her history, they were concerned about self-harm, and so they put her in a hold for a number of days. She's 18. And she came out and she articulated a desire to go to an intensive outpatient program and to try and, in her own way, address her addiction issues. So there've been some ups and downs with that, and it's hard to know exactly what's going on. And we're kind of right in the middle of everything right now. And I think what's been really difficult is just, the fear of losing her, of how high risk she is and how vulnerable she is. All kids are that are experimenting with drugs when they're so lethal.
Yeah, and as connected as you are, and I know you are with your daughter, and I know she shares with you so many things that you would imagine they would be hidden. It leaves you with a sense, now that she's 18, that it really, where do you exercise autonomy over boundaries? But I think we're going to come to that. First and foremost, you touching on the fear. And I know that anybody listening to this, and me included, how are you managing? How are you coping with your fear? I see you and I feel you, and I want to make sure that you have the space to be with yourself. And it's just such an incredible thing to witness you in this process. And I just wanted to honor that for a moment. But I also want to know, how are you managing with all of your pain and your fear and the idea that, well, the worst may happen, at any point. We all feel that in different ways at different times with our children. But when you've got an example of this being right under your nose in the present, how are you coping? What are you doing with that fear?
I think before, my tendency was to not allow myself to feel the fear, to be in denial about the fear, because it was overwhelming. As I said, this has been going on for many years. And so now I recognize the need to feel the fear and to feel the emotions underlying that, and to validate it, and
Yeah.
to let myself collapse if I need to. And it's not easy
No, of course.
because I've always been very strong. And so it scares me to collapse. It scares me. It makes me feel like that I'll implode and that I won't be able to come back out of it. And that it's a scary place too.
Scary place. So what's been your experience? What's happened when you have collapsed? What does happen for you?
I feel better.
Feel better?
Yeah. I mean, everyone has different experiences, but I find that when I allow myself to feel emotions, and that they do pass,
Mm,
and it's so much better than trying to hold things inside or to stuff them down. And there are times it feels overwhelming and paralyzing, but it does pass.
it does pass, yeah. I
It
think there's
does
a 90
pass.
second rule, isn't there, with emotions? If you feel them for 90
Yeah.
seconds is the maximum you'll feel them if you really, really feel them. But I mean,
Yeah.
if your default was to stuff those feelings down, I mean, what would that look like? I mean, do you just get busy? What is your go-to?
Super busy.
Right.
I can multitask and do a
Mm,
lot, and I'm competent, and just keep going
yeah,
and not think about,
yeah.
not allow myself to think or feel about what's really going on inside. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Mm,
Just, keep going, keep going. And there's this sense, if I keep going and keep doing things
yeah.
and checking things off the list, and, as we talked about before, like finding resources for her and finding the perfect therapist and doing this and doing that, then somehow there's more likelihood of her being safe and healing.
Right. Okay.
And for me to manage to function.
It's interesting because I know that there's bound to be some people that are listening to this that are going to be asking the question, well, okay, so you can go away and you can feel all of those really heavy feelings. You're in this critical situation. It's very, very much right here, right now, right under your nose. So you might shift that emotion in you and you might feel better, but the situation still remains. But we're not trying to change anything here, are we? Because we can't, right? It's outside of our remit to change anything that our young people are going to be doing. So, what does that mean for you that you get to shift that emotion? Is there a sense of feeling stronger, feeling a little bit more resourced? And is there an element of being able to sort of acknowledge the autonomy of your child, the sovereignty? There's a word that we use, isn't there? The sovereignty
Mhm.
of your daughter in all of this, and your own sovereignty. Or does it feel different
Yeah.
when you
Yeah. I feel like when I allow myself to feel connected to, however you want to describe it, I feel connected to a source of wisdom within myself.
Mm,
I don't feel so alone. I mean,
mhm.
this may sound, spiritual, but I'm very committed to my spiritual path. And I feel connected to something else that gives me strength and gives me solace. And I also am better able to connect with my daughter
Mm,
and to engage, because it's drawing on that source, right? That well of wisdom, and not the outside panic and the need to
yeah.
control, and the right, which is the immediate reaction when it comes from something like this.
I'm getting a sense of spaciousness in the whole situation,
Yeah.
from being so on top to maybe there being a bit more room for
Yeah.
perspective. Beautiful. And
And it's not all the time. I mean, sometimes, as we were saying earlier, sometimes I do panic
Of
and
course,
my heart starts to beat and I want to scream and I want to
you're human.
find that right. And that's okay. That
100.
doesn't mean that I'm doing things wrong or that I haven't learned to do things better. It's just I feel really emotional sometimes. And it's okay for her to see that,
Yeah. But
you know?
what point are we being authentic and what point are we being inauthentic, right? We can't
Right.
pretend something other than we are. The point is, if that channel of communication and connections open between you, then the real message will be felt. The
Yeah.
truth will be felt. And
Yeah.
yet, yeah, defended, and we're unable to do that. The wide
Mm,
communication suffers. You've
mm,
got such a beautiful connection with your daughters. Another thing that I know people are going to be curious about, if you're okay to answer another question,
mhm.
would just be around boundaries, the idea of boundaries. And I think you wanted to speak to this as well. Maintaining that connection in amongst all
Mhm.
of this. Is there such a thing as maintaining boundaries? What does that look like when you're dealing with the situations such as this?
Yeah.
We know other people will have very strong opinions of what boundaries that you should be setting or enforcing, or is
Mm.
that a real thing? What's your thoughts on that? What do you think?
Yeah. When I talk to someone who hasn't struggled with childhood mental health issues and particularly with substance misuse and addiction issues, the first response is lock them up. They need to be protected from themselves. And that is considered totally reasonable.
Right.
And I did that. We did that for many years. As I've said, we did wilderness therapy, multiple therapeutic boarding schools, therapeutic farms. I mean, there was a lot of attempts to bubble wrap to protect.
Yeah.
And it has a role, right? Because the brain's maturing and all of that. But ultimately, they have to live their lives
Yeah. They need that
and
sense
they
of,
need that. And they have to have agency in their change and their transformation and their healing.
yeah.
It doesn't work otherwise.
No, and I heard you say she's come out of this and she said, look, I want to do this outpatient program. I want to make choices for myself.
She
And I,
she is. I mean, she's, and there's a lot of ambiguity with addiction, right? Because the substances are meeting a need within her.
yeah, of course.
But her behaviors make sense. It's not that she's just choosing to do this because she wants to be this rebellious kid and she thinks it's cool. I mean, there's always an identity probably piece to it, but it's really about a need. It's meeting a
Right.
need within her. So she is still not committed to sobriety, and yet she's exploring options
Yeah, right.
for her treatment and looking at what those might look like.
Mm.
And it's terrifying to allow her that
I can
time
imagine. Yeah,
to come to terms and to make a choice for herself because, the cost could be unthinkable. You're walking a very fine line. I don't know what the option would be right now, except for her to go through this. And what I think that's so important is the connection
yes. How,
because the substances are meeting a need of, I think in her case, of not feeling enough, not feeling seen. Um, there's some attachment wounds.
yeah,
And so letting her know that even in the midst of this chaos and us not agreeing with her decisions always, that
yeah,
we accept her,
yeah.
that we accept who she is,
And you
and that
listen.
we love her unconditionally.
Yeah, and you listen to her, you hear her when she wants to speak. I mean, what more can you do in that situation? And there is some distance between you right now, but yet the connection is so strong. And she's 18 and she gets to choose. And I would argue, I think it was Shivali that said, past the age of 11 or 12, you stop becoming your child's teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Mm-hmm.
give them the space to evolve and exist. This is such a challenging situation for you to find yourself in. So for you to be experiencing this, and obviously this particular episode as well, I just want to share with people that, we're very much in this process. Whatever your process is, if you're listening, we're very much in this process. So nobody ever wins, nobody ever gets out, nobody comes out the other side unscathed. We gathered some tools, we've got this far, we're in this now. Catherine's going through this in this moment. It's real, it exists. It's a privilege to be able to just hear you share so openly, so vulnerably, with a view to helping and supporting other people.
Mm.
But you're very much in the process and very much trying to manage a really sensitive situation. I can't imagine anything much more challenging than this, trying to maintain connection when your child is doing everything that you would wish that they weren't.
Yeah. Like I said, the connection is first, allowing her agency, encouraging her agency. And, there's lots of different techniques around open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions, right? Tell me a bit.
Right. Well, asking her, so what do you think is going to be helpful for you? What do you need? How did you feel after this happened?
Right.
Are there any lessons for you? What is clarity for you? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Just conversations to get her to think and let her know that I don't pretend to have the answers. And so I think that role is helpful. And there are boundaries though. So in terms of, for example, money,
Yes. Okay.
right? So for us, it's like chaos in the house. It's money. We really want her to attend her classes. So if you don't attend your classes and you don't get any spending money for the weekend, we don't give extra money because we don't know where it will go. If there's chaos, we're really firm about her father, because she's with him right now in New York, that he needs to sleep after 11, things need to be quiet. Just basic agreements on living together.
Yeah.
Which she does understand. And then, we're trying to figure out how to have boundaries around, if she's living with us, she does need to have some sort of support around her addiction.
Okay.
And what that looks like is up to her.
Mm-hmm.
But we really feel that's essential, including drug testing, although I don't know at this point if she will consent to us seeing the results, because that's part of the agency and part of all of that. But that's kind of where we're at around the boundaries. And it's the best we can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about controlling her. You have to be home because, if you're out too late, you could get into trouble. No, it's you're living in this house, you need to be home because your father who's working needs to get up at 5:30 in the morning and needs his rest. So that's why it's about him and what he needs, not about trying to control her. And I think that's been really important.
Yeah, she's got full understanding of that and full
Yeah.
appreciation of that. I mean, even
Yeah.
get in the way of that at times. She does.
Yeah.
Where, as you know, in her more sober moments, you definitely have an experience of her appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to bring to this? Because
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I think, one thing that I always kind of go back to is, what is the learning in this for me? Because I really believe that everything in our life, as we've learned both from all the wisdom teachers really, is that our life is a co-creation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so these things are happening in my life, not to me, but they're happening in my life for a reason, I believe, for my growth and for the growth of my family. And I really believe that, and I hold tight to that. And so I look at the situations and so, what do I need to learn from this? And I think right now what I'm thinking about, I'm learning to detach this idea of radical acceptance. This is my life.
Yeah.
This is a struggle in my life. And I don't need to wish it was different or regret, or it's just what it is.
Yeah. Well,
and
meets resistance, it doesn't take you anywhere, does it? So what happens if we just have that radical acceptance? That's huge. Doesn't happen in a moment, does it? It happens.
It doesn't happen in a moment, and it doesn't mean that you can't take action to shift the direction that things are going in, and you can,
of course,
but in each day, so I have this longer term vision of her healing and of her possibility that I hold on to.
Yeah.
But in this day, I accept what's going on here. And I'm not angry at her for not meeting my expectations and making me feel bad. I'm seeing it for what it is. Within that, I'm taking the steps that I can.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. You're giving me goosebumps, because that's actually really, what else can you do? You're going to love her through it. You're accepting where you are, but you've also got this imagining of all that's possible for her, and you hold that up. Yeah, I just think that's beautiful what you just shared there. It's kind of like that whole bigger picture, and then coming back to the present.
Mhm.
Find that resources you as well somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Catherine. I think
Thank you, Terry.
that's got to be helpful to so many, really. I mean, you're in the eye of the storm and you've been open to share so beautifully. What a blessing you are, and what a gift this will be, I hope, for so many people. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Terry. Thank you for listening and for your questions. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
Okay, here's the legal stuff. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are not licensed therapists, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. See you next time.